What up, people? Happy Friday. Welcome to the Daily Number. Today's number is 45. Oh, that's not today's number. I'm sorry. I'm messing up today's number, y'all. Today's number is $6. $6 is today's number. That is the reported price of of gasoline prices in California. So we've had oil prices extend above $6 in certain gas stations in California. And so we'll get back to that and talk a little bit about what my expectations are for oil and for gas as we get further into the show. But for the show today, as always, we're going to do our stock market rundown. We're going to talk about the Black News Channel closing down. Also, Kobe Bryant Estate. There's some new news about Kobe Bryant Estate inking a deal with Nike, and also again, is gas going higher and higher and higher? Where it stopped, nobody knows. Now, as you all know, I'm Kamari Ellis. I'm the Finance Rebel. We do these shows every day to highlight money, to just show how easy it is to talk about money and how it is to become much more financially literate, educated, in the money and the facts of money, right? Excuse me, y'all. But I wanted to talk about this because today I am back on Facebook, right? Because you know what? I was suspended from Facebook. They kicked me off, and now I'm back. But I'm a little perturbed, right? So I want to show you why I was kicked off Facebook in the first place. And I think it's some shenanigans, but it always seems like it's some shenanigans with Facebook. But I'm back. But you know, who knows? It's like you're the lady that has her bag over at her boyfriend's house, and you never know when he's going to kick you out. Sadly, things are always happening. So there was a post I put up 2 years ish ago. Excuse me. And I'm trying to find it now so I can show it for everybody. And I guess Facebook found it so egregious that they had to kick me off the platform. Well, restrict me from going live, restrict me from doing any advertisements, and say that I was in violation. Why? I don't know. But I want to show this because I want everybody to see what a lot of other content creators, especially Black content creators, are dealing with these platforms, with these social platforms. And I think it's egregious. I think it's sadly egregious. So give me 1 second. I had it and then I lost it, but let me try to find it again. But basically what it was a picture of the old president, the guy called Orange Monkey. If y'all been rocking with me for a minute, y'all know who the Orange Monkey is. And it was him drinking a bottle of bleach. And I just said, does it taste great or is it less filling? And so I didn't draw the artwork. It wasn't grotesque. I mean, outside the commentary that you could drink bleach and get rid of COVID, but you know, that's neither here nor there. It wasn't really bad. It wasn't graphic. It wasn't grotesque. And the powers that be, or the bots, or the AI at Facebook said, hey, there's something wrong with this content. We're just going to kick you off the platform and say, hey, you got to go. But then I got a notification yesterday and saying that, oh, we made a mistake. It wasn't that bad. We made a mistake. It wasn't that bad. And you're back on. So here it is. I found it. I have found it. So I'm sure y'all all want to see this. So that's why I took the time to go find it. But again, to me, it's simply ludicrous about some of the quote unquote policing on some of these platforms. That's the only term I can call it. But this is the post, y'all. This is the post. Your post is back on Facebook. We're sorry we got this wrong. We reviewed your post again, and it does follow our community standards. Really? Amazing. So I shared this April 24th, right? It says, how would you caption this? Me, does it taste great or is it less filling? I mean, I don't know. Can y'all see that? Is that clear? Let me blow it up a little bit. I mean, is that Is that really clear? Is that really a problem at all? It's the orange-haired monkey or the orange-haired king, whatever you want to call him, drinking bleach. I mean, he was taking his own advice, I guess. I guess. So I don't know. But either way, we're back in the building. I mean, the show didn't stop. Like I said, one monkey's not going to stop a show. I'm going to keep going. We're going to keep talking about this money, and we're going to keep talking about black wealth, and we're going to keep rocking it like that. So that's all we got, folks. That's all we got. So the Finance Rebel Show, our daily number, is here on Facebook and YouTube, broadcasting all live at the same time. All right. So do me a favor, share this out to people. Anybody who might be interested in learning about financial education, financial literacy. There was a topic I wanted to talk about today, but I'm not quite ready to talk about it. I will come back to y'all with that. But recently, Florida, just going to tee it up here a little bit because we want to talk about this. Florida actually passed a bill, and they said that they're going to allow personal financial literacy, not education, financial literacy into the classrooms of high schoolers starting in 2023. What do y'all think about that? Me, it gets me a little bit worried. But y'all put in the comment what y'all think about that. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to have a show talking about that. And like I said, we're going to continue on with the regularly programmed show. I just want to take a little bit of a detour and talk about what was going on with me, but we'll get right back at it. So let's get into the market rundown so we can talk about what happened in the markets, what happened with money, and so we could all break it all down. So here we are, right here. So, all right, stock market's up today, $4,543, up for the last 5 days this week, a little under 2%, 1.79%. Market's up. Seems like, again, everybody's kind of, I don't know, they've kind of forgotten about Ukraine and Russia a little bit, not as worried about it so much. But there's a term you might hear me say often called, it's already priced in. That's a very popular term, right? So the sell-off was already there. The market's already anticipating everything is going in, so they already kind of sold off. We've seen a little bit of bounce back. Markets is already priced in. Interest rate rising, but I don't think interest rate increases is totally priced in, especially not in 50 basis point increments. So I think the market's just kind of all taking in. It's just kind of shaking around a little bit till it finds its feet. All right, oil closed at 112, a little under 113. Oil was up for the last week at 7%. Oil was up 7% for the week. So again, oil's still up. We know that's going to be a problem. We definitely want to talk about that heavy tonight in tonight's show, but oil's still up. Oil is still up. All right. Gold closed at 1957 a troy ounce. Gold is up a little under 2% for the week. So still there, people are still on edge. So like I always say, gold is a safe haven asset. Many people are looking to park their money somewhere safe during times of trouble, especially during wartime. So we'll see all that. Come into play, and I wouldn't be surprised if this keeps going or if things get worse. Gold breaks above $2,000 an ounce. Why is this doing this to me? Bitcoin, 44,428. All right. Bitcoin closed at 44,428. Bitcoin is up 6% for the week. So Bitcoin's up this week. Stock market's up this week. Remember, I talked about correlation. So pay attention to correlations when we think about our money, especially when we think about our retirement assets and things like that. So there's a couple of things I want to talk about tonight. The Black News Channel, Kobe's estate, and yes, we want to talk a little bit more about gas. Definitely want to talk more about gas. But do you realize that in your death, you can still make money? So that's why I wanted to talk about that today. I thought that was a little not a little interesting, but I always find it interesting when you hear stories about people making money from the grave, so to speak, so to speak. So I definitely wanted to talk about that. Now, did you hear that Black News, the Black News channel, shut its doors down? Sadly, you have folks like Charles Blow. He's a big journalist. I'm actually a big fan of Charles Blow from the New York Times. Had joined them. Hometown hero in Philadelphia, Dr. Mark Lamont Hill was actually part of that team. And sadly, they're closing their doors. Now they're closing their doors after 2 years, sadly, and they're about to file bankruptcy. So the channel didn't do as good as they thought it would, which is definitely sad. We, the Black community, definitely needs a serious news channel, a serious news outlet. But the landscape is changing. The world's changing. Everything's changing right now. So a lot of people don't even watch news anymore in the same way. People don't listen to radio in the same way. A lot of people are going to podcasts and YouTube. And so it becomes really, really hard. So I guess they didn't take full advantage of all the, I don't know, digital platforms they could. I mean, I don't really think they had a really big presence on YouTube or a really big presence on Instagram. And they didn't want to shell out any more money. So this company is largely funded by, how do you say this guy's name? And I'll get to you some of the highlights. Shad Khan, right? He's a billionaire who owns the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, this company was originally started by a Black man, right? J.C. Watts. Now, if any of you are familiar on the political scene, J.C. Watts is a Republican out of Oklahoma, was around during the 90s. I remember him. He wasn't that bad. He definitely wasn't in the same lot as these current day Trumpophiles or reptiles or whatever you want to call them. But he wasn't that bad. He wasn't that bad. But here it says, due to challenging market conditions and global financial pressures, we have been unable to meet our financial goals, and the timeline afforded to us has run out. Prince Air, who has been chief executive since July 2020, wrote in a memo to staff, effective immediately, BNC will cease live production and file for bankruptcy. So you know what that means. Grand opening, grand closing. Doors are shutting down. Everything's shutting down. Black News Channel's abrupt closure comes just a year after the network revamps its lineup with high-profile commenters like Charles Blow, like I talked about earlier, from the New York Times, Mark Lamont Hill, and added a new morning show. It also shows the difficulties traditional cable TV channels face as cord cutting continues. Cord cutting, people tired of cable. People tired of spending the money on cable, so they're cutting the cord and they're going other ways. They're bootlegging, or they're just going without, or they're just getting their stuff straight off YouTube. And continues to turn away from the channel dial, right? The network, which was co-founded by former Oklahoma Congressman J.C. Watts, is largely backed by automotive parts billionaire and Jacksonville Jaguars owner Shad Khan. Mr. Khan has explored a sale of some or all of the network in recent months. People familiar with the matter said Mr. Khan, who has invested roughly $50 million in BNC, won't invest any further, according to some of the people. A spokesman for Mr. Khan had no comment. So that's really sad. That's really sad, right? Because, I mean, again, the Black community does need a chief national news outlet, but you can't ask a non-Black person to shell out the money for that. Now, Mr. Shad Khan is not Black. He is a Pakistani. He is a Pakistani who's made a bunch of money, like you said, in automotive and with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And so he may not necessarily feel so inclined to invest money into a losing situation. I get it. I get it. It's a money situation. It's an economic decision. I get it. All right. So by 5 p.m. on Friday, the network will start running old programming, which will last through the rest of this month. So the rest of this month is March 25th. So we get about 6 days left of programming. What we're going to see with the BNC. That's sad. All right. So BNC's more than 200 employees didn't receive their paychecks this week. And I read other reports that said folks haven't gotten paid in the last 3 weeks. So it's not just this week. I've seen that it's over 3 weeks. So can you imagine? Can you go 3 weeks without getting your paycheck? I mean, that's really, really rough. That's really, really sad for all the people that worked there that was really working hard. Now, it says here arrangements have been made for the company to pay all earned but unpaid wages to laid off employees. So let's go over that again. Arrangements have been made for the company to pay all earned, right? People have worked for their money, but unpaid to laid off employees. So like I said, that was about 3 weeks from another report that I read about this. So that's sad. The guy's a billionaire. You would think he would at least pay his folks, pay his debts, but we shall see. We shall see. Let's see. I'm just trying to see. I didn't think there was anything else there that was really, really good to bring out. Like any other startup network, there were bumps along the way, but we were overcoming them. Mr. Hill said, hopefully someone comes around like this again and hopefully gets the marketing it needs. So, I mean, again, it's really, really sad. It's really, really sad. So here's an interesting stat, right? Let me share this with you real quick. Here's an interesting stat. So it says here the network's viewership hit a peak of 80,000 this week, according to Nielsen data, as it's aired wall-to-wall coverage of confirmation hearings for Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, the first Black woman to be nominated on Supreme Court. So those aren't great numbers, but those aren't bad numbers. They're kind of like lukewarm. So it's kind of it's rough. It's a rough thing. It's a rough thing. But as Black News, thank you, Black America TV News and Information, they said they were not grassroots enough. This is what I heard. Well, I used to watch. I liked it. Was it grassroots enough? I didn't watch enough to really arrive at a conclusion on that. I did like some of Cornel West's programming. I did like some of Dr. Mark Lamont Hill's programming, but it still needed some polish. It still needed some refinement. All right. So the next story I want to cover is Kobe Bryant. So we want to talk about Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace to Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace to Gigi Bryant. His daughter, they both died in a tragic helicopter crash about a year, almost 2 years ago. So it's really, really sad. But this still has some life. He still has some life. He still has some things going on. This is what happens when you leave a true legacy, when you put that work in, right? So Kobe Bryant's estate agrees to new Nike endorsement deal. People are probably like, how in the world does this man ink a deal when he's no longer alive? So whether you know it or not, when we all leave this earth and we transition, we leave an estate. Sometimes those states are in good order. Sometimes those states are not in so good order. Kobe Bryant's estate is in good order, right? And so here, this is Kobe and his daughter. Now, Vanessa Bryant, the widow of Kobe Bryant, and Nike have inked a deal. They've reached a deal to continue producing sneakers and apparel for the late basketball star signature line. All right. The agreement also includes a commitment to create a young basketball center, as well as a shoe honoring Mrs. Bryant's late daughter, Gianna or Gigi Bryant. Nike released 11 models of the popular Zoom Kobe sneaker line during Mr. Bryant's illustrious 20-year career, as well as a six post-career shoes. All right. So there was a couple other points in here. For some reason, my thing wasn't working. All right, but all of this started, right, because news got to Mrs. Bryant, Vanessa Bryant, that they had produced a sneaker for her daughter. This is where things broke down, right? They were supposed to release a sneaker, create a sneaker for her daughter, Vanessa. And let me see, the partnership comes after Mrs. Bryant allegedly in June 2021 on an Instagram post. It's hilarious how people do things through tweets and Instagram posts these days. that the shoes she designed in Gianna Bryant's memory, called the Mamacita, were made by Nike without her approval. At the time, Mrs. Bryant said she didn't re-sign a contract with Nike and decided against selling the shoes. All right. So that kind of halted everything. It's amazing what happens when you actually speak up for yourself, especially when you have a bit of a platform and some money behind you. You can go a long way. But now they are back on. Like you said, his first shoe with the partnership would be the Kobe 6 Protro Mamacita Sweet 16. And it will honor Gigi. The company said it hopes its deal will attract a new generation of athletes. Got to give it to Nike. Nike is always working 5 steps ahead. They literally are playing chess when it comes to their sneakers, when it comes to their marketing. So this is a good thing. I read somewhere also that out of all the sneakers for NBA players, the Kobe Bryant sneakers are worn the most. So I think that's really dope. I think that's really awesome that people are still supporting Kobe even in his death. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Now, the main topic for the night, we wanted to talk about gas, or I wanted to talk about gas. As you can see, gas prices are still through the roof. Like I said, I saw some reports that gas prices had hit $6. That hit $6 in California. Now, it hasn't quite reflected yet. The AAA national average gasoline average was $4.24. Now, that's just for regular. For some of you folks with your high octane vehicles and some of your high power vehicles, I'm looking here and it says petroleum, the average is $4.93. I guess the premium, right, is $4.90. So that's just the average. So that takes into consideration the very, very low price of premium gas, the very, very highest price. And they're saying the average is $4.90. That must be hurting a lot of people's feelings. That must be hurting a whole lot of people's feelings. Now, again, I saw some other reports that gasoline had hit $6 a gallon. And I don't know if that was for premium or for regular, but either way, that's still hefty. How y'all making out with these gas prices? I've kind of had my car parked for a little bit because I don't want to keep filling up my tank. I'm not getting a whole lot of bang to the buck. So, all right. So the other part here too with gas prices is the price of oil. Because remember, when the oil rises, gas is going to rise. At some point, somehow, it's going up. And so with everything going on around the world with Ukraine and Russia, with what they've got going on, that's creating a problem because, again, Ukraine and Russia are major natural gas and oil producers in the world. All right. OPEC, which is, what is it? The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries is what OPEC stands for. That's basically like their gang of oil countries that get together and they say, well, this is how much oil we're going to produce, and this is how much we're going to supply everybody, and we want this certain price. And we will lower prices, we will lower production if we want to see the prices go higher. Because again, I'm always talking about supply and demand, and there's a reason why I always talk about economics, right? Economics, chief function, chief law is supply and demand. The more supply for a thing, the lower the demand for it, the lower the price, right? Well, let me back that up. The higher the supply, so you got a whole lot of it, it's in low demand, right? You're going to have a low price. Now, if you have something that's in low supply, high demand, the price is going to go higher. And so here we have gasoline or oil for this matter, but right now oil, it's in high demand. Like there's over like 100 million barrels of gasoline. There's over 100 million barrels of oil used almost every day. So it's really rough to think about this. So it's in high demand and supply is, I would say, limited, right? Now they keep pumping it out and they keep discovering more. There's more oil deposits other places around the world, but for right now, it's still kind of fixed. You can't get it forever. You have to drill deeper. You have to drill more in order to get more oil. So that's always going to continue to be a thing. That's going to continue to be a thing. So getting here, it says gas prices are high. Oil CEOs reveal why they're not drilling more. So the reason why gas companies usually drill more during times like this is because they're able to finance drilling expeditions. So they're still drilling for oil, whether it's in the ocean, whether it's in a desert somewhere, they're still drilling for oil. And so in times like this, they tend to drill for oil because gas is so high. Now, here in this article, they talk about it. It's a major thing when they talk about oil companies need a certain dollar amount per barrel in order to be profitable. Well, they're well above that. They're well above that range. All right. So let's get into it. The U.S. oil industry doesn't appear to be in any rush to come to the rescue of Americans struggling with high gas prices. Oil company CEO says Wall Street is to blame. All right. 55% of oil executives said investor pressure to maintain capital discipline is the primary reason publicly traded oil producers are restraining growth. Basically means they're not spending money. They're not exploring. They're trying to be conservative and benefit from all the profits that they're getting now because oil prices are so high, right? So this is according to the Fed Reserve, a Dallas survey released Wednesday. For years, the boom to bust oil industry spent lavishly to fund all-out production growth. U.S. oil output skyrocketed, keeping prices low. Now, for many of you might not realize this. For a long time, the United States was importing oil. They were importing oil, not really importing oil anymore. We only import certain kinds of oil from other companies to really refine for gas. But for the most part, the United States, due to all this drilling and exploration, is not importing oil that much. Not really, not anymore. But now there is kind of an issue, right? It's kind of an issue. And it's because there's an imbalance in the world. So anytime there's an imbalance with anything, that's when you figure out what the issues are, where the pain points are. All right, so hold on. So the hundreds of oil companies went bankrupt during multiple oil price crashes, right? Leading investors to demand more restraint from energy companies. So a couple of years ago, y'all probably don't remember this, but a couple of years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, oil had went down. And at one point, oil had went down below $1. And there were a lot of companies that were getting in, refining, or digging for oil, and they could not make any money. They were operating at a loss. So that's why a lot of them went out of business. They went bankrupt. They had to lay off their people. And so now investors are like, listen, we went through that season of famine. We now want to feast. We want all our money and we want it soon. We want it now. All right. So today, oil companies are under enormous pressure from Wall Street to return cash to shareholders through dividends and buybacks instead of investing in badly needed supply. Now, what's that mean? What's that mean? They want to return money back in dividends and buybacks. So these are all public companies. Public companies, when they make profits, they can pay out a dividend, right? Y'all probably see me talk about dividends all the time. I think I talked about them earlier today on Instagram. But that's one way for an investor to get their money back that they invested in the company. They got some dividends out of it, right? And don't forget, dividends are taxable. So make sure y'all declare those on your tax returns. Also, stock buybacks. Stock buybacks are another way to get investors their cash back. So basically what the company does, they take their cash, they go to the open stock market, and they will buy the stock back, artificially a lot of times pushing the price higher. So you see a lot of companies have been doing that, especially since interest rates have been so low. So you've been seeing that. Thunder, I see your question now. I'll come to it at the end, brother. All right, so let's get back to this. So instead of investing in badly needed supply, right? So they're not looking to pump up the supply. They're not looking to go find more oil because, again, more oil means more supply. More oil, more supply means lower prices. They want to keep prices high because they want to keep the profits flowing. So here it says, discipline continues to dominate the industry. Discipline all means is they ain't spending no money. That's all. The budget's tight. These are all the keywords, the fancy terms that they're using. All right, so discipline continues to dominate the industry. An executive from an oil field services firm told the Dallas Fed in a survey. Shareholders and lenders continue to demand a return on capital. They want their bread. They want their money back. And until it becomes unavoidably obvious that high energy prices will sustain, there will be no exploration spending. So they're not going to send out surveys to dig for oil, drill for oil, seek for oil. They say profits are good. We want to keep this money in our bank accounts, in our pocketbooks, in our wallets, and that's that. All right. So U.S. output is down even as prices skyrocket. Although U.S. oil supply is expected to rise in the coming months, it remains well above pre-COVID output. That's despite the fact that oil prices have spiked to levels unseen since 2008. If y'all remember, oil prices hit about 150 in July of 08. I'll never forget that because gas prices went up too. So here, these are some numbers I want y'all to keep in mind, right? The United States produced 11.6 million barrels per day. That's what they produce per day. They do about 10 to 15% of the overall world's supply in oil. So the world, they use about 90 to 100 million barrels of oil daily. So that's a lot. That's a lot. All right, so so they're saying that's down. So their production is down from 10% because of COVID. So everybody's still not totally ramped up. All right. So prices, on the other hand, have surged. U.S. crude oil closed at $114.93 on Wednesday, up 88% from the end of 2019. So the end of 2019, that was the beginning of COVID, around that March time, 2020. So we can see a market change, a major change. Current prices are well above the $56 per barrel average that oil companies told the Dallas Fed that they need to be profitable. So they only need $56 per barrel to be profitable. We're at 114, somewhere between, what was it, 112-ish when I covered it earlier, 111-ish, somewhere around there today. Larger companies said they need per barrel prices of just $49 to turn a profit. So anywhere from $49 a barrel to $56 a barrel to be profitable. Well, they're booking double that. They're booking double that. So the question is going to be, we see all these issues coming in, right? You know, I always try to talk about the things that are actually affecting us right now and what we can do about those things. We already know what's happening. Oil supply is tight right now. Demand is still up. So there's a couple of things that can happen. People can stop driving. People can stop flying. Right? People can stop traveling. Don't know if that's going to happen. Other thing, people can start figuring out more efficient ways to use oil. And we're starting to see more and more of that with electronic vehicles. Now, electronic vehicles aren't the end all be all because we still have a distance issue, right? Your average EV or electronic vehicle is only traveling, 150 miles, say 300 miles on a full charge. And we still don't have a full out charging system nationwide, city to city, state to state, from seashore to seashore, from the Atlantic to Pacific. So people can drive their EVs coast to coast. So that's still an issue. But it's my guess that there's more money that's going to come online for EVs, right? For more EV expansion, because they can see there's more money to be made. Because more people, as gas prices stay high, we're going to see more people push into EVs. We're going to see more people buy EVs, in my opinion. That's definitely going to be there, right? You might even see more people buy scooters and bikes. Like, the pedal bikes. And we had a shortage of those during COVID, during the shutdown. So you'll probably see more prices go up for things like, again, scooters, motorcycles. We already see used cars going up. All of those things have already been issued. They will probably extend even more. But the question is, what should you do? Well, one thing you should do is try to reduce your travel as much as possible so you're not spending a whole bunch of money on gas. Other thing you should do is, for anybody that has older cars, make sure they're tuned up, make sure they're moving pretty efficient, right? Or as efficient as possible. So then you're not spending a whole bunch of money on gas. So that might take you to spend a little bit of money up front to get your cars tuned up. Make sure your car tire pressure is well inflated, because the lower your tire pressure is, the more you're going to spend on gas, because your car is not operating at its highest level. So, there's a lot of things you want to think about. And if you can afford it, you might want to think about looking at an electronic vehicle. You might want to think about getting a scooter. You might want to think about getting a bicycle, or you might want to think about walking more. I mean, just to be totally honest, because it doesn't look like gas prices are coming down anytime soon. But y'all tell me in the comments, what do y'all think? Do y'all think gas prices are coming down any sooner? Now, don't go anywhere, everybody. I'll stick around and I'll answer questions as well. All right. But listen, we have to do our affirmation of the day, right? Our affirmation of the day is, my mind is a powerful tool, and I use it to create my future. My mind is a powerful tool, and I use it to create my future. Again, my mind is a powerful tool, and I use it to create my future. That's probably one of the best affirmations I've read yet. I think they're all dope, though. But listen, our minds really do create our reality. Anything that we utilize, that we see, it was first thought of in the mind. So it makes sense to really be, one, good to your mind, recognize the power of your mind, and take care of your mind. Get plenty of sleep, drink plenty of water, and get exercise, because the brain needs water, blood, sugar, and food, right? And I need to take my own advice on that one, because through tax season, I have not been working out enough, probably been drinking way too much coffee. And so I got to definitely take my own advice on that one. Definitely. Now, Thunder, I saw you had a question. This concludes our ending of the regular show, right? You know what I always say. I'm always humbled that you're always here. Continue to be great. Always be love, and always keep seeking the light. Until the next time, I will see you all. Now, we can just have a regular conversation now.